Today, I want to talk to you guys about some steps that I took to go from a 500 credit score, FICO score, all the way up to 750. So stay tuned. My name is Jay, and welcome to Ask a Debt Collector. Now, I've been in the debt collection industry for over 15 years. I've done it all, from skip tracing to collecting to management, and I've owned 2 debt collection agencies. For the past 8 years, I've been the go-to guy for friends and family for questions regarding debt and credit, and now I want to be that person for you. If you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. Let's go. Be sure to like and subscribe if you have not done it. Those of you who are watching this video, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel so that I can continue to bring you guys great content. Okay, so let's talk about my journey. The reality is I've been in the debt collection industry, as that video stated before, for 15 years. I never really got serious about my credit, or I didn't. And when I say get serious about my credit, at one point I didn't understand it. I just knew, with collections, they don't really talk about credit. It's just, hey, this consumer owes, this is how you get the money to get them to pay it. So I never really, at one point, didn't understand it. And then when I started understanding it, I took it a little bit serious, but I didn't get serious till about 5 or 6 years ago. In the reality where I was like, you know what? Credit is so important, because within my businesses, I made enough money to take care of what I had to take care of. And I looked at credit cards. I literally looked at credit cards as a bad thing. And then over the course of YouTube and learning what I learned about credit in general, then I realized, a light bulb went off in my head, and I said, oh man, I've been looking at credit cards with the wrong lenses on. So let me share with you some of the steps that I did in order to go from 500 to 750, okay? So let's go. Number 1, I started with the mind state, the correct mind state, right? At one point, I looked at credit as bad. I looked at it as, spending it on crap that you're not supposed to spend it on, and then end up owing forever the little small monthly payment and trying to tread water. That's what I did with my first credit card. I had a Capital One credit card, and basically I started out with a $300 limit. By the end of it, I had a $3,000 limit, but it was maxed out. Eventually, paying those little payments and so forth, when I came and I had a situation where my finances went low, I couldn't afford to pay it no more. I went to collections. But the mind state that I had at that time span was similar to before. It was just like, oh, okay, well, I have this credit card, this extra money. Let me buy stuff that I didn't really need. And I was buying all kinds of crap just because I had the credit instead of using it like a debit card, right? That's the mindset that changed. I think I watched a video or I talked to a friend or something along those lines, and they basically explained to me that a credit card, use it as a debit card. So my mind state had to change with regards to what I thought about credit, how I use credit cards, my habits of what I spent my credit cards for had to change, okay? That was the number 1 thing. Secondly, I had to figure out my why. So why did I want to get in the 700 club? Now at the time, I was at like a very low 500 FICO score, and I wanted to get to 700 FICO score. Why? At this time, because I had the mind state, I knew I wanted to have credit cards just in case emergencies come out, and then I knew that I could use the credit cards and get the rewards and points and so forth from there. So once my mind state changed and then I figured out my why, I just wanted to have better credit, so when I go get car loans and when I get loans and so forth, I can get a better interest rate. I'm not nervous sitting there wondering if I'm gonna get approved. I know you guys can relate to me with that. Those of you who with not so good credit, I remember sitting and just waiting and hoping that I'm gonna get approved for whatever it was I was applying for, whether it was a cell phone, a car, or a personal loan. I always was afraid beforehand, and I just didn't want that stigma on me anymore. I wanted good credit. I wanted to be able to walk inside a facility and apply for credit when it was needed and know for sure that I was going to get approved for that credit, or I was going to get approved for that apartment complex. And so those were the things. I had to find my why and then my mind state. Mind state first, then my why. Then I got started with pooling my credit. So very, very important is to pool your credit. How you pull your credit? I have a video. I'll link it in the description below on ways to pull your credit. Obviously, you have Credit Karma out there, which is what I do, as well as Experian. And then you have freecreditreport.com. Obviously, you can pull your credit there for free. You can get all 3 FICO scores and what's on your credit. So I had to pull a copy of my credit report, which is something that all of you guys are going to have to do, okay? Now, once I pulled a copy of my credit report came the plan. Now, what am I going to do from there? I have a video that I recently done. I always recommend people start with credit repair first, because with credit repair, obviously, you can delete inaccuracies off of your account to start out with. So when I pulled a copy of my credit report, the first thing that I'm going to look at is my addresses that are on my credit report. Any address that's not my current address, sometimes I have addresses that are completely false, I get those removed immediately. I do that before I even dispute any inaccurate accounts on my credit report. And the reason why I do that is a lot of times if there's a fraudulent account on your credit report, and let's say you live in California and somebody in Colorado opened up a credit card in your name, they're going to pin an address possibly in Colorado. So when you dispute that account, if it shows that that address is on your information at the top end, where your place of employment, a phone number for you, as well as your address, then a lot of times it'll be verified automatically just because it's showing that that was an address that you were at. So it'll be on there. But with that stuff disputed, with that stuff off of your credit report, when they look to verify an account that was fraudulently put on your account or that you never opened up, it'll show, okay, well, this person had only this address. They never lived in Colorado. And a lot of times that'll get that account taken off of your credit report. But you got to start off with your plan, right? Got to have that with regards to that. So what is the plan? You want to get rid of inaccuracies on your credit report from the address first. You want to dispute that stuff first. Then secondly, you want to go through all of your accounts on your credit report. Look at all of the accounts that they have on there. Anything that you know for sure that is not your account, you want to dispute those accounts off as well. And that's one of the things that I did. With cleaning up my credit, right? So now the first thing that I did at this time span is I cleaned up my credit first. So I looked at all the stuff, I cleaned up my credit. Now that process took me 2 years. Understand, during this thing, you have to be patient. Some people can dispute stuff and it can happen within 30 days, 7 things fall off your credit report that was inaccurate. In other situations, it may take you 1 to 2 years. It took me 2 years in order to get everything off of my credit report. And that's what I had to do with regards to that. So eventually, after that 2-year time span, it was a little over about a year and like 8 months. Once everything was off of my credit report that wasn't supposed to be there, I started basically with no credit at all, right? And so that's the situation that happened. But I got all the inaccuracies off of my credit report. I think I went up to high 5s, maybe the 6s from there. And then it came to building my credit, right? So that was the next step. And so what I did was, my wife at the time, I was cleaning up both of our credit. The good thing about her is she already had a credit card that had like a balance of, I believe, about $4,000. It was maxed out at the time. And during the course of cleaning up our credit, we paid down that credit card. It was a credit card that she's had for over 5 or 6 years. I had her put me down as an authorized user on that credit card. So before I applied for any new credit, I was added as an authorized user on my wife's credit card. Now that's something that I recommend that you do. Once you clean up your credit and nothing's on there, you don't have any credit established, you go through an authorized user. Now if you need some help with that, hit me at ask@debtcollector@barrettrecovery.com. That'll help you out with regards to that. I'll give you some information with regards to getting an authorized user. But nevertheless, I got an authorized user, which was very, very important. So now on my credit report, I only had one credit card. I had no derogatory accounts. I had my correct address information on there. And I was an authorized user on a credit card that had 5 years history. So I had to wait a month until that was reported on my credit report. Once that was reported on my credit report, then I applied for my first credit card. So I went and I applied for my first credit card. And my first credit card I got approved for, the balance on that credit card, I believe, was $1,500. And so that started my journey. So it took me 2 years from I was an authorized user on one credit card, and then I had my own credit card for $1,500, right? 6 months into paying that credit card, now mind you, I kept a zero balance on that credit card. I only used it to pay bills that I had. At the end of the month or before that due date was done, a business day before it was due, I would pay the balance off. And I only used it obviously on stuff that I was gonna pay bills with my debit card anyways. 6 months into it, I request for a credit card increase. I believe the first time they gave me about $1,000, so I went to $2,500. Then I waited another 6 months. I asked for a credit card increase again, and I went from that to I believe around like $5,000. That credit card now I have a limit of about $11,500. Every 6 months I ask for an increase, and lately the last couple of times they've been giving me $4,000 increase on that card. As time progressed, I applied for some more credit cards, and currently right now I have 7 credit cards with a little over $65,000 worth of credit and zero utilization. I still just alter those cards in, using them for my Netflix accounts, using them for my cell phone account, using them for paying SDG&E, my cable bill, and all that type of stuff, and I just pay it off. And I have them all lined up for which cards I'm going to pay for them with regards to that, and then I've been taking care of it. And from doing that, currently right now, I sit above 750 on all 3 of my FICO scores. Some of the FICO scores are showing even in the 800s, but understand, that's how I went from 500 to 750 with regards to my credit score. Now, understand it's gonna take some time. It took me 5+ years to get to that point. But with patience, a plan, you can make it and you can get there yourself. Now, if you have any questions, put them down in the comment section. I promise I'll answer those questions. If you're looking for an authorized user, or you're looking for someone to help you out with cleaning up your credit, send me an email at assetdebtcollector@bearrecovery.com, and I'll be sure to assist you with that. As always, you be great.